Good morning, everybody. Sorry for the couple minute late start. Technical difficulties trying to get Nathan Loker logged in here. He should be joining us here shortly. But welcome. So far, I've got Pam Jones here, and Nathan will be joining us here in a few minutes. So we'll kind of hang out for a minute or two, and hopefully he can get in, and then we'll get started. So.
Let me get my audio plugged in. It decided to unplug.
Hey, there's the
Nathan,
man.
you look so relaxed and comfortable on the beach there.
It was a good day.
Nice day at the office.
Yeah.
I
All right,
love
I
it,
need to
Nathan.
know, do we call you Nathan or do we call you Loker? Because
Nate Dog.
Nate, yeah, okay.
Whatever you want to call me, I don't care.
I'm just so used to calling you Loker. Every time we see you, it's like Loker.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, I don't know. Should I call him Nathan? So it feels weird calling you Nathan.
The only time you don't call me Loker is at a family reunion because then everyone looks. So
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's a good call. Yeah. Well, awesome. I'm glad we were able to get you in, Nathan.
yeah.
So welcome everyone. Today's webinar, like I mentioned, is with Pam Jones and Nathan Loker. Both are fantastic photographers. You guys are in for a treat today to kind of pick their brains and learn some business and products from them. So Nathan, I've known a little bit longer than Pam. I met Nathan through the all senior workshops and the different basically trade shows and webinars that I attend. And like I mentioned, both are fantastic photographers. Pam, I actually met through another photographer who you guys will be able to hear from next week, Kristen Jones, same last name, unrelated.
Not related.
But yeah, so Pam has become a friend more recently, and yeah, I'm super excited to pick both of their brains today. So Pam, I'll start with you. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about your business and how you got into photography.
Okay, I'll try to do like the quick version. So unless you want me to take the whole time.
I scheduled 3 hours, so take as long as you want.
Okay. So I know I was like, wait, okay. So I started out doing photography back in the film days. I took photography in college. I have a minor in photography. And then I got a degree in broadcasting. I worked in television, including CNN and some other networks. And then decided that primetime news was just not working for me and my family. So I decided to fall back on my photography skills. Got into digital photography, which at first I was kicking and screaming. And now I've been doing so 30 years I've been doing photography, 31 years of photography, but business I've been doing it for about 18 to 19 years for my business. I started off as a shoot and burn, just like most people, and then now I do IPS and I have a studio and lots of fun stuff. That's my little. I made it like a 1 hour pitch down to 1 minute.
Oh, that was awesome. Thank you. Perfect. That's great. Nathan, how about you?
I'm ADD. So what was the question again?
The question is just tell us a little bit about you, your business, and how you got into photography.
Okay. Well, my journey is a little bit unique in itself. I grew up with no technology background, nothing like that. We finally had a little computer in junior high. Knew nothing about those things, went to college, and I got interested in technology and started asking the tech guy there. I was like, hey, I'd love to work here. He's like, cool, what's your experience? I was like, zero. And he goes, cool, you're hired. I was like, oh, that was awesome. So I learned to build computers and things like that, and technology just kind of always followed me. And I bought a camera, a Sony Cybershot
Oh,
in '03 or '04. I thought I
okay.
was awesome. I clicked a few pictures and it was kind of just, I've enjoyed it then. I drew cartoons, ironically growing up. So now I'm doing realistic stuff, I guess with some wide angle, unrealistic things in there. It's a mix. So that kind of was my journey. In about 2009, I picked up a DSLR, $0, bought one, thought that was a brilliant idea, and spent everything I didn't have and started just taking pictures. And with my competitive nature, I started figuring it out. So I've been doing this for about 13 years professionally, 2 years for fun. So yeah, that was my quick journey into that. So it just stayed.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you said that because I was like, are you still shooting with the Sony Cybershot? But it sounds like you replaced that camera since then.
I've updated to AI. I just say, take a picture for me. It does it.
Perfect. Perfect. And it draws it for you.
Yeah, perfect.
That's awesome. Great. Well, again, thank you both so much for your time for the webinar today, and we'll get started with some questions. So, what are some of your favorite McKenna products?
I remember the first time I ever saw McKenna, I was at a convention. Somebody told me about it. I was using another company that was very, very low end for my products. And someone said, you need to check out McKenna's art blocks. I love the art blocks. I was selling canvases, but they were just like $50 canvases. They were very, very inexpensive canvases for this with this other company. And I went and looked at the art blocks, and they were more expensive than what I was using, but also I charge a lot more now. So I wanted something that had a little bit more value to it. And I really feel like the art blocks really did that. And then it wasn't until recently that I was looking through the albums. I'm like, oh, I need to make the switch. And Paul helped me out with that. And yeah, I've made the switch completely for all my art blocks and all my albums. Now I go with McKenna.
Great answer.
So, Pam, what is it about the art blocks that intrigued you?
I like the fact that they're just more sturdy and more they're firm and they're I can't remember the word that I use. Yes, yes, like you could knock them. So I feel like when I'm charging someone $300 for an art block and you give them the for me, I don't stretch canvas to me has that kind of a bouncy feel to it, but I feel like the art block, because it has that wood backing, it just feels like it's more perceived value. It just seems like it's more expensive product. So I don't feel quite as bad as charging a lot more, because then, again, it's perceived value. So people like when they feel it, like, oh, this is not, it's heavy and it's firm. And so I really like that sturdiness of it.
Awesome. Disclaimer, hopefully you guys don't expect me to pull every product out that was on my wall. So I
Happen to
just
have
was like, hey, it's right here. So
Like, that's impressive.
yeah.
We didn't rehearse this before.
We did not. We did not. So if you want another rabbit out of the hat, that's all I've got. So
Oh, well, darn.
so Nathan, how about you? Favorite McKenna product?
Yeah, so like Pam, I actually met President Dave before he purchased the company many years ago. It was going to be one of my first speaking gigs, and they said, for us to sponsor you, you have to use our web or our company. And I was like, okay, never have used you guys, just being honest. And the day that I used you guys, I fell in love, and I was like, this is amazing. The quality of the products, the people, of course, it's always about the people. And I was like, this is what I'm looking for. And so what really ultimately turned me over were the wall art medals. So I'm waiting for you to pull out the medal. Is there any medals to pull out?
Oh, wait, I do have one.
Woohoo, we got a medal.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, the process with the metals, the quality of the metals, when it comes to me for products that I'm looking for clients to have, is something that they can't just get it on their own. And so we want to have. I stopped doing a mount board. Yeah, I can make more I can make more income on a mount board, which is fine. It's a beautiful type of product, but I wanted these metals to stand out even more. And your guys's flat matte metals, and then your glossy metals, which I know Dave always tried to get me to only do flat matte, but I love the glossy. So I do a lot of those too. That's kind of the main product that has jumped out at me over the years. And of course, the Integrity albums have how they've even evolved along this journey. And what you guys have offered has been my top two products that I encourage my clients to look into.
Okay, perfect. So I know, but everybody on the webinar may not know. What do both of you tend to photograph the most of? Like what type of genre?
I'll go first. I'm sorry, I keep jumping in there. I don't want to like the silent pauses. I'm 80. Yeah, I need to. So like when I hear pause, I'm like, okay, somebody has to talk. So I started out mostly weddings. I did mostly weddings. Now I just turned all my weddings over to my daughter. My daughter is my primary shooter for weddings now, and I do mostly seniors now. So most of my pictures are seniors. So that's the ones that are really buying the products. They're the ones that are for weddings. They want albums for sure.
Mhm.
But for the seniors, they're getting albums and the art blocks. I call them canvases for the customer, but they're art blocks. So yeah, that's the biggest sellers, is that canvases and art blocks for the seniors, because the parents really want that memory of their seniors.
Yeah, I follow along a lot of the same lines too, because I want them to have something that means something to them, and have a memory, a storyline, some products in their hands. So I call them wall art.
Mhm.
So it's not just like to communicate a little bit difference of an 8x10 or 11x14 and smaller. I want them to have a art piece of their own child on the wall. So we have wall art clusters, those types of things. All metals or the art block versions, I do the exact same thing. When I'm showcasing those, I actually go knock on them. I'm like, it's not that little floppy canvas. It's a durable, backed up art piece. Yeah, going back to he called it again.
Somebody asked, they didn't see it when I showed it before. So here's just a little
Gotta
8
knock
by
on it.
10 art block.
Yeah,
Yeah,
So
that's what I
hopefully you
like
can
about
hear
it.
that.
yeah.
So it is a hard backed, basically canvas gallery wrap, and offered in two different thicknesses, the 1/2 inch and the 1 inch, and very, very durable. A lot of people absolutely love our art block. It's very unique to McKenna. There are other labs that make something similar, but the quality isn't as good as ours because typically theirs is a cardboard back. Ours is a wood backed product. So this is why both Pam and Nathan love this product. And it sounds like um, your parents do as well. But yes, you can hang it. So it comes with a sawtooth hanger. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. And then the other one again to fall in line with there are those albums. They're
Sure.
just durable quality. There's so many options with, your leathers to your Chromaluxe to your metal covers, and the thickness and the durability of those. Those are my most favorites as well.
Awesome.
So
Awesome.
I shoot seniors, and that's what they want. At least that's what I tell them they want, and then they want
They buy
to.
it. Okay. So cool. Thank you. So you both photograph seniors. You've talked about some of your favorite products. Do you kind of answered this, Nathan, but do you find that that's also your customers' favorite products?
Yeah, so when it comes to sales, a lot of things that we have to keep in mind is these people aren't coming in with the concept of what they always want unless they've been your client before. And
Sure.
so be a guide. We have to take them on this journey and show them what others are getting. And within that process, we have to say, this is what's most valuable and why. Because like they can go home and they can have a whole pile of 8x10s, and that's fantastic. But what do they do with them all? Nothing typically, but they're going to showcase the storyline of the senior album, especially if we're communicating it well and with the wall art. And so when they come in, I'm actually taking them on this journey and saying, this is what my clients choose me for. And so they don't have to wonder what others are doing. I'm actually just giving them the answer up front, and they're building the emotional storyline and connection to it. So it's not actually, sales don't have to be scary and hard on the aspect, but that we get to take them there and help them, take a step into a world that they've never been a part of.
Good. So do you have this question's for both of you. Do you have kind of something that you're watching for or in that moment when you're showing your products that you're like, oh, I just saw the cue. I know I'm going to sell this.
You can usually tell when they sit down. For me, the minute they sit down, if their eyes are on the walls and they're looking around, okay, they want some. They're imagining their own living room and the pictures on their own walls. And then, I have some that don't look at the walls and they're just looking right at the album. They pick the album up and they just start thumbing through it before I even get started. So you kind of know, okay, that guy's definitely, or that girl is definitely going to want an album. Yeah. You can usually tell, you can tell right away.
Yeah, same journey. I do actually the majority of my sales on my consoles. So when they're coming in, I'm actually informing them of what we offer and why. And so as I start handing them items or they're walking around and touching things, I do the three senses, taste, smell, and touch. Within that concept as they walk in, I want them to hold and see and go through that whole journey as well. So you, like Pam said, you can see when you hand them that album, they're like, wow. And as a as a weird person, I call like my albums the soft touch mat. I call them mom petting books because as soon as you hand it to them, they're just petting it. So I tell them that, like, here's a mom petting book, and they're like, what? And you hand it to them, they're like, I want that one. And so you're kind of directing and guiding them on that journey with just even how we learn. So the senses.
I'm curious what an album tastes like, though. I've never tried licking one.
Yeah. Well, the smells within
They do
cells.
smell good.
Yeah, I don't smell them all the time, but it's just the
Yeah.
smells what happens when you bring candy soda and all those things, the smell and the aroma.
Yes. Yep.
So I guess mean ultimately like your products smell good and taste good. I haven't ate one yet.
Yeah.
I'm so
So
weird.
Sorry, I just had to ask because you said the three senses. So I'm like, I've never licked any of our products. So, but
Yeah, I've said them. I missed a couple, like hearing all the fun stuff, but
yeah. But we got a question from the attendees. Is there one cover for the album that you guys typically like more?
I personally love the acrylic. I think it's beautiful. And then, I let them choose though. The acrylic to me is an add-on. It's, they add on if they want the acrylic. A lot of them will get the standard covers, but a lot of them will upgrade to the acrylic. I think the acrylics are beautiful.
Now, when you say acrylic, do you mean the glossy metal or the Chromalux, or is it
Oh,
actually
sorry.
acrylic?
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I'm sorry, Paul, you're gonna have to help me. I'm a new convert, so I
Yeah.
don't know the specific names for everything exactly yet.
So
So
I would guess you're referring to metal,
no,
No,
not metal.
Chromaluxe.
then the Chromalux.
Yes, Chromaluxe.
Okay,
Sorry.
perfect. Perfect. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's why we're here. We're all learning. Yeah. So the Chromalux looks very similar to like an acrylic cover,
Yeah.
but it's a dye sub process. Very, very durable. Awesome finish. We'll try to post a link to that cover type here in the chat, but it'd be the Chromalux cover.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Well,
How about you, Nathan?
my favorite albums would be the metal cover, and they've got that nice, beautiful wrap as well within leather. But typically, what happens is after you price and direct yourselves, that kind of middle range is where a lot of people land. So our biggest seller is the mom petting book, or the soft matte touch book.
Okay. Since we're talking about albums and covers, do you find guys tend to steer towards one cover and the ladies to another, or is it pretty much universal?
For me, the guys could care less. It's usually the moms.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so it ends up being pretty universal in terms of what the moms want.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Same boat.
Perfect.
Guys
Perfect.
come in because their mom makes them come in. At least in my area.
Awesome.
Same. Yeah, same.
Yeah. So Nathan, you kind of alluded to this earlier, but you do your own sales sessions, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And Pam, is that the same for you?
Yeah, I hate it, but I'm a little bit of a control freak though, but I don't want to be a slimy salesman, so that was kind of a hard thing to me just to start out with. Um, but I try really hard to I do a pre-consultation just like
Mm-hmm.
Nathan mentioned. Let them know everything we have, so when it comes time to actually doing your final sale, they know everything already. The way I go into it is, this is what I have, and then you decide. So I don't have to be pushy, but there's ways. I have my sales set up to where they have to buy an album or a wall art before they can get digitals, because that's all they want is the digitals. So I make it to where they have to get some kind of printed product in order to get the digitals. So that way, for me, I don't have to be this pushy salesman. It's like, oh, that's the way it's set up. You're gonna have to get something, and then they choose what they want. So yeah, if I had another person, I'd have to train them, and I'm just so, I know there's a lot of really very high end, very big time studios that do have salesperson, and I know that's great. I'm so such a control freak. I don't know if I could let that go.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for the honest answers. So that kind of brings me to a follow-up question. What's the hardest thing you've had to overcome when selling products?
I had a mom come in recently, a few months ago, and I was trying to show, this was before she even booked me. I tried some out, and Nathan did this thing on his Facebook group where he said, what are some failures you've had? And we all do. We all try new things, and sometimes we fail. And I tried this new thing where they come in before they pay and try to show everything. And she was complaining because she wanted the digitals, but she didn't want any products. And
Oh,
I'm like, well, this is what I offer. And if you don't, that's fine. There's other photographers you could go to. And she straight up told me, well, I have real wall art in my house. And I was just like,
ooh,
yeah. And I said, you know what? And I was very nice about it, but I'm like, I think you really need to find another photographer. There's plenty of photographers that will just give you digitals, but that's not me. I offer products. And so every once in a while, you'll have those people that just say, I don't need anything. I just want the digitals. So I'm not pushy about it, but I'm like, if you want the digitals, this is what we need. So overcoming that, I just want the digitals is really a hard
sure,
thing.
sure. Nathan, same question for you. What's the hardest thing you've had to overcome when selling a product or products?
Yeah, the main issue that we all have to get over when it comes to sales is to get over ourselves. We're not typically our own clients, and that's okay. A lot of us come from different backgrounds, different values, and what they are wanting. And so when Pam was talking about like we don't want to be a pushy salesman, we don't. And a lot of us are very art minded and we're very exuberant and we're happy and we hate to hurt people's feelings. But the reality of it is, when it comes to sales, it doesn't have to be scary. And so when you reorganize how you look at your business, one, it's based on what do you need. Your success is based on what you need in your household. It's not what others need, and it's your location. But also, it comes to, for me, is I don't want to be pushy and I don't want to be bossy, so I want to be a guide. And so, like, my sales process is actually very non-confrontational for a lot of people who are like me and don't want to just like shove it down people's throat and be like, well, you need to do this and this and this and move them up with these add-ons and all these things. I literally walk in and guide them and say, this is what we do and this is what we offer, and we take them on a journey. We're back to that little journey. We take them on a journey, and we want their end of this journey to end in success. And so to be able to do that, we have to be good communicators, and we want to be good people. And I don't want it to be, that slimy used car salesman you walk into and people come in nervous. We want to build an opportunity of rapport and have an opportunity to be non-salesy, but direct through a non-confrontational way. And so that's how my sales are actually set up. So, and it is based on minimum orders at the front, and just say, if I'm going to spend this much time, I do have to have at least this much of a commitment in return. And so, and I just straight up tell families, this is how I feed my kids. This is how I feed my family. And this is what I'm going to do. And like Pam said, if it doesn't fall in line with where you're at in this journey, and that's okay. There's other photographers around your area. But if you choose me, I'll be your artist and we'll walk alongside of you. And that sales process really isn't that scary.
Yeah,
I know I've
good.
done a really good job in the sales session when they write me a $3,000 check, and then as they're leaving, they're thanking me.
Yes.
That's my favorite thing.
Yep.
It's like, you're welcome for taking your money.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's great. That's a good reminder. Pam, you kind of alluded to this earlier, but you do IPS, in-person sales. Nathan, do you as well?
Yep.
What do both of you use to do that process?
Nathan,
As
you
a
want to go first?
program, as in a program you're talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah, or system. Yes.
So this is going to be, way against a lot of, people, what they offer. I actually use Lightroom, and I do
Okay.
super. I got a 65 or 70-inch TV, and I do get asked, well, it's not color calibrated from the artists across the industry. They don't know the difference. It doesn't matter. In the long run, they're going to trust me that the end process is going to look awesome. They don't know. They may look on their phone. It's like, it's too bright. Well, it's because your phone brightness is too bright. So I use Lightroom and I go through that little journey. And I know some salesmen will be like, well, you don't have the ability to use this program and put it on their walls. Well, there's an action for that. You can hit play and build our walls in a picture super fast. As long as you're communicating well, your sales will be well. And so I sell clusters often with my wall art, and I actually have a hybrid pricing. So I've got my regular pricing, and then I've got a hybrid, which is digitals and prints. So they can choose from one or the other. And if they want digitals, it builds in that direction. So yeah, I use Lightroom, super easy, nothing over the top, and yet the averages and what I need with a home-based studio is pretty fine.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad Nathan went first, because I'm even more primitive than that. I thought about, ooh, I'm going to step it up and use Lightroom. I am so old-fashioned and primitive, and I know I've done all these, oh, you should get Pro Select and all these different things. And I've tried some things, but I'm just so basic. I do a little an Animoto slideshow at first, just to show them like my favorite ones. And then after that, I'm just doing a Windows or just going through it, and and they're looking at, because honestly, 90% of my clients buy all the digitals, so I don't have to go through and pick out different ones. So they're just, it's very easy and streamlined. I know it's so primitive, but I guess that's a good way to tell people it doesn't have to be, just like Nathan said, it doesn't have to be as hard as you think, because
Yep.
really I'm very primitive the way I do it.
Well,
And then they go home and they pick out what they want for their canvas or their art block and their album. So then they email me with what they want. So they take their own time to do that because they've already paid for all the digitals. So that's kind of how I do it in studio. But
yeah.
yeah, I'm a little, that's why I'm glad Nathan, I was like, whew, good. If he was a pro select guy, I'd have been like, oh boy.
See, what a lot of businesses fail to understand is the word KISS, and it's been out there forever. Keep it simple, stupid. And when you overcomplicate your process, You're overcomplicating it for your clients who don't in return spend, because if they're confused, they ain't spending.
Exactly.
I love those answers because it's been really interesting. I've asked that same question to everybody so far in this series, and I think if my memory serves me correct, everybody has had a different answer, whether using their website, Windows Media Viewer, Lightroom, Adobe Bridge. Not that any of them's right, any of them's wrong, but what it has hopefully taught anybody, if they've been watching this series over the last few weeks or last month, is there's not one program that you have to use and invest $600 in to be able to do IPS. And I think that's the biggest hurdle for somebody that's going from shoot and burner to now I want to do this, is it can be intimidating because I have to have this software and I have to be able to do this. And your guys' answers is showing everybody that you don't have to have a specific program. Use what you guys are comfortable with and what works for you.
I can't remember, it was somebody's Facebook group that they were saying that, like, if somebody says that this is the one way to do it, don't go to them, because there's so many more ways to do it than just one way.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and Lightroom, you're already paying for it. Windows Media Viewer comes with your
Oh my gosh,
computer.
I'm so embarrassed.
No, don't be. It works for you, and
It does.
it's successful.
Hey,
So
I make money doing it.
yeah,
So there you
yeah,
go.
yeah. But there are excellent programs out there like Pro Select and Fundy and many others. But if you're finding those intimidating or you're getting started and you don't have the funds for those, don't use that as a hurdle to not do IPS. So I absolutely love what you guys said. That's awesome.
Rock on.
So I'm assuming, do either of you offer online sales as well through like a website or just in person?
I tried online a few times, especially with, I have some remote clients. I had one from Alaska. I had one from some from Florida, Missouri, just all different places. And so I'm forced to do online occasionally.
Sure.
But my sales are definitely not as good as in person. They need to touch it and feel it or see it on the wall for them to actually want. And that was one of the things when I started doing IPS 10 years ago or whatever it was. And I actually, before I had a studio, I would bring a loose, canvas or whatever to them. It still didn't have the excitement as when, oh, I see it on a wall with the couch and a TV. Really having them seeing it in person is really what sells the product.
Okay.
I haven't had a lot of luck doing it online. So really, if somebody is local, I almost not force them and make it to where they have to come in. But
Okay.
of course, if they're obviously from out of town, and I have to do online.
Yeah, so to create value, you have to make it different. And so when you, for example, when I'm booking a client, they come in for a consult, they come in for the session, they come in to view an order, they come back in to pick up. When you create a concept of value and in your brand, people come back in, they're going to do that. And online sales, I'm not saying no one can do it and no one can't do it great. What I'm saying is an opportunity to bring them in actually increases your opportunity to have a better sales and better relationships and trust. When it's online, think of how many times you went to your website, Amazon, or whatever it is, you typed in your product and hit it in the cart, and not once did you order it, and you go back the next year like, I need to order it. That issue is then you have to set standards on it. Well, you got 1 week to order, and if they don't order after that first week, then you got to charge $50 to reinstate that link, and then you got to charge 100. Some people are okay with losing $50 and then never come back to order, and then we've done nothing for them. We haven't given them a full service, a part of that experience. And so I do in-person sales because it is the most valuable tool, at least in that opinion, to have sales and building rapport. And then in the return on that journey, we're going to go back to that phrase on that journey, the client journey, is they want to talk about you and share about you, because you weren't just a salesman-y person. You weren't just an online link. You were a person that built a friendship, a rapport with them.
And I call mine a senior experience. So when they meet with me and they do all the things with me, they know who Pam Jones is, or Paris Mountain, which is the company. My name's not Paris Mountain, like Pam Jones. So people call me Paris all the time, and it's crazy. So, the thing that drives me crazy is when I say there's, oh, so and so did my other daughter's I had my other daughter went to another photographer. Oh, what was their name? I don't remember. And I'm just that shocks me because I think none of my clients are gonna forget this. They're gonna see this face. They're gonna see this face before, just like I do the same thing with Nathan. You know, I do a consult before the session, then the
Yeah,
sales, and then the drop off. They have this relationship with me, and then guess what? You get return customers because they have siblings, and then I shoot their weddings. So it's just kind of so building that relationship with them by doing the in-person sales and meeting with them and making the client experience so elevated, and I call it a luxury experience when they come to me.
Yeah,
okay,
people don't know how much people don't care how much you know. They care how much you care about them as a person. I can't say the phrase today, whatever, till they know how much you care about them. That's the majority of where sales is at, is your personal relating skills, not just how much you're good at selling a product. And so that's, I think, another with in-person sales, that makes a huge difference bringing them in.
I saw a quote on Facebook, where that's where I get most of my information. That and TikTok is it said it said something about people won't remember what you say, but they will remember how they make you feel.
Uh-huh.
And I feel that way when when they come into my studio, they feel that they're having this experience and they're enjoying that experience. Where a shoot and burn photographer, they're not going to have that connection with that person, and they're not going to remember who they are. They're not going to refer them to other people, that kind of thing. So that's a big part for what I do.
There's
sure.
pictures, there's portraits, and there's your story. And our goal is to create the story.
So Nathan, earlier you said the acronym of KISS, keep it
Yeah.
simple, stupid. How
Yeah.
have you used that in your product lines? Do you
Well,
offer 15 different product lines? Have you pared it down to, like you've mentioned, metals and art blocks and albums? How does that affect your business that way?
I've never been told I was intelligent, so stupid is my gig. So.
Mhm.
But what I have learned on this journey when it comes to sales, the less options you have, the better your sales will be. So if I bring in for a senior session and I'm like, here's my album, it's 26 pages, or here's my price guide, it's 26 pages long. I got art blocks, then mount boards, then this cluster, then that cluster, then this album, then this album, this style, then this coffee table book, and these gift print, and then we throw that at them. It's insane. And so when we want to think about the process of sales and keeping it simple, I've got four main products. What are the products? You do have a variety of styles and
Mhm.
sizing within that. So
Sure.
I've got wall art, albums, gift prints, or anything that's of 8 by 10 or smaller, which I use the McKenna Pro's double-sided prints mounted on styrene. You guys call them not styrene though, is it? They just left me. Well,
Yeah.
it's a plastic base, and then
Yep.
the side, and then I do collages, which is a single print with multiple images on it. So keeping it simple, and I go through that process, and then I do have an extras page, grad cards, little accordion minis, and a few kind of filler items, but my main products are where I focus the majority of the attention. And then I follow up with a quick little, hey, we got a few extras. And if they want a curved metal, or accordion mini, those types of things, that's what
Sure.
I.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Same
almost
thing.
the same.
Same thing for you, Pam.
Yeah, Nathan kind of said almost the same thing. I have three main things. I have wall art, which also includes the metals, metals and the art blocks, and then the albums, and then the digitals. And I have a little specialty section that's all the little extra kind of things. And really, those extras, I kind of change those out every year because I see what sells or what doesn't. But really, it's the art blocks and the albums that are just those are the main sellers. And even when I first started doing IPS, I had the lots. Oh, I had all these because I thought it was so much fun, and I would offer like necklaces with pictures on them and all these different things that I thought were cute. And really, it would overwhelm people. And so yeah, you learn that just having too many things overwhelms them, and if they're confused mind buys nothing.
Yeah. Good. So what would be a piece of advice that you would give somebody starting out with why they should offer printed products versus just digitals?
That is a very deep question. For me, it
Hence
starts.
why we're here today.
Yeah, I was gonna say it starts with the concept of what is success to you in your business and what do you need
Sure,
now. And you can frame it up to, do you want to be a McDonald's business, which makes money in the long run and it's digital, but you're gonna have to wear yourself out working a lot to meet the needs of how many hours of time to create that avenue, just digitals, which is fine. Or you could be a middle range artist that does the same thing with digitals and some prints, or then you could be a higher end in-person sales And there's three avenues. When I first started, it goes the shoot and burner, work a lot for no money, because I wasn't smart enough then. And then I became the middle range in pricing, but then I got the coupon clippers. They wanted a discount on everything. And then I created a pricing strategy with Ty Fisher, ironically, helped me out and worked within that to be a higher in-person sales. And I would encourage in-person sales because it is a time saver. So you have to understand, in your brand, you're creating your time is valuable. And for me to be away from my family is, I mean, it's happening fast. Like my daughter's 12 all of a sudden. Where did that go? You're gonna have to pay me well, because $100, it's not that I wouldn't take $100, but $100 to be away from my family for an hour, 2 or 3 is nothing. I would rather go spend time with them on a bicycle and play, because in 6 more years, she's not going to want to hang with me anymore until she gets through college. And then she's a parent, then she wants to come back. And so it goes back to a very deep rooted question. Why in-person sales? For me, it's because it's value. I value time, and I can't get that back. And I don't want to work my booty off with all those introductory shoot and burner styles to be away from my family, when I can actually work less and make more with the concept of in-person sales with print products. And those families are actually happier in the long run.
Nathan
Good.
took the words right out of my mouth. I say the same thing. What I always say is, yeah, high five. I usually I'll tell people, and I don't say this, I say this to like my friends or other photographers, that I don't want to leave the house for less than $200, because, that's time away from my family. I'm usually shooting, now I shoot with lights, and but I do prefer to shoot at a nice time of day, which is golden hour. And then sometimes I'll do it when it gets darker and I do cool light stuff. But that's dinner time, and I'm spending time away from my family. Now for $200, $300, I don't know. But now my average sale is about $3,000. I'll leave my family for $3,000. I will leave my family. Just kidding. No, but I do feel like now I only have to go out once a week, not every single day. I only have to shoot once a week to make what I need to make to pay my bills. And so yeah, it's a value. Now, I was a shoot and burn photographer too, and I did do 20 or 30 sessions and for a couple $100s. But I just have a different clientele now, and it's just, they understand the value and they respect me more, and they let me do what I want. They trust me more. And they don't mind paying. When you go to IPS, you're gonna lose all those clients. Not all of them, but you're gonna lose a lot of those clients, and
Some of them, yeah.
some of them, yeah, and it's gonna suck. But I do still have some, but most of them go to the less expensive photographers. But then I've gained new photographers. I've gained new clients. I've gained a lot of people who understand the value in what I offer. And so now I, like, just exactly like Nathan said, I have my time with my family is the number one most important thing. So I'm able to do that and still pay my bills. I feel like when I leave my house, I don't feel like, oh, not really making it. Now when I leave my house, I'm like, I know that I'm doing this and it's good, and I'm going to make the money that I need to support my family.
Other than you just said you'd, sell your family for $3,000. So
That's
we'll
the
make
number.
sure they don't see this.
That's the sweet spot. $3,000. I'll come anywhere to
Yeah.
anybody's house.
All right. So a couple follow-up questions came in through the chat. So on location sessions versus studio, I feel like that plays a factor into what both of you are talking about. Time, it's going to take time to get to those on location sessions, but I'll shoot that to you guys. What do you think? Or what do you do?
Nathan, you want to go first?
I can go first.
You
So
want-
this goes back to how I do my sales and presentations. My goal is to create the storyline of what my client wants. The majority of this culture of kids, especially for high school seniors, don't want a lot of studio, and that's okay. But it also depends on how you brand your business. If that's all you show and market, then that's who you're going to attract. And
Sure.
so probably 70-30, the majority of my sessions are on location, because I'd rather, in my opinion, I'm more creative when I'm going out and having more fun out there. But in a studio, I typically only shoot on a white background or a black background, and then add in maybe some fire dresses from Josh Hanna, or some water dresses from Ben Shirk, or some smoke layers from Josh Hanna. Like, that's kind of what I would do. But outdoor on location, my creative opportunities are endless for that. So
So my studio actually is a sales studio only. I do shoot in the studio for fun things. Like I just did a projector shoot, and I do some like little cute fun shoots with my seniors, but really my studio is mostly just a sales space. It's big enough to shoot, but I just don't prefer to do it. When I bring them in for the consultation, for the pre-consult, I give them a location guide of all the places that I like to shoot. And then they pick out what they want. I tell them, well, what's your vibe? Are you a city vibe? Are you a country vibe? And then I show them the locations and pictures that I've done there, so they pick out what they want. And then we include their hobbies and things that they want to do to kind of make it, customized to what they want.
Sure. Good.
Yep.
So there's a follow-up question. Would you meet to sell at a coffee shop, pros or cons, or pros slash
I've
cons?
done that before. Before I had my studio, I did them in coffee shops, and I have actually met clients at McDonald's, and I had a little kid in the other booth throw a French fry at us while we're in the middle of the session, a sales meeting, and I was just like, "That's it, I'm done. I'm getting a studio." And then I also went into people's homes because I thought,
Okay.
oh, if I show them, I could bring them a canvas and hang it on their wall. They're gonna be, and it just never really panned out for me. It didn't work for me. Now I'm sure there's people that it worked for, but it just never worked for me. I like doing it. I mean, it's possible, but I like doing it in my studio because I really have control of the environment.
Yeah, there's a saying out there, be the opposite of everyone else in your area, and that always makes you stand out more. An
Mhm.
illustration that always comes to my head when I'm driving in Destin for a workshop down there as well is the speed limit, I think, is 19. Now I can't think of it, of course, but you're used to 20, but it's 19, and it jumps out completely at you. And so if everyone in your town is offering in-person sales in a studio, then go to their house. If that works for you, make it work. Or if everyone's doing it at a coffee shop, do it at your studio. And so you want to be a little bit different so that you're remembered and you stick out the most, a little bit different than anyone else. So for me, I've got in-person sales home-based studio, and this aligns with my business plan and where I want to go in my life and what's most effective for me. I'm a stay-at-home father with 2 kids, and I've done that in my entire photography business career. And it's been beneficial to have it at my house versus buying a studio. And the second part of that is because I want to be efficient in my life and in my business with my numbers, because I don't have a studio location, I can take that additional $14,000 to $16,000 a year and put in my Roth IRA and max it out and be more efficient. So when I retire at 55, 60, 65, I'm worth millions versus what I've lost in a renting studio, of course. So there's a lot of factors that go in. What is efficient for you? Do you have kids at home? And I've heard that over and over. Well, I'm a parent with multiple kids. How do you do it? You just figure it out. You've got a problem solving this business. And if you can't figure that out, then you're going to crash and burn. So I would encourage just to what's different than anyone else is doing and kind of
Sure.
fill that in. That works for you.
When you said Destin, Florida?
Yeah.
Well, I'll keep that in mind when we're at sync next year. So I'm not speeding at 20. It's only 19. So
That's the spot. It's
all right, good to know. Good. So question regarding products. So what would you say is the number one most important thing to you when picking a product?
I want the value. I want the perceived value. I want it to be priced enough to where I can afford it. And it's for me, but for the client, they're going to look at that and go, wow, I just paid $300 for this product. It's worth that. That's why I really like the art block so much. I also do the metals. They're not quite as, for me, they're not quite as popular as the art block, but that's what I like for my client is to see that, okay, I'm paying $1,000 for an album. This is a really nice album. I'm getting what I paid for. Not, oh, it's $600 for this. I don't want anybody to ever say that. So that for me, the value and quality of the product.
Yeah.
So what adds value for you, Pam? Like if we were to compare a press printed book versus an album, is it, the leather types? Is it the page types, the weight? It can have stamping. I mean, what is it that adds value, you think, to the client?
I think they really notice the difference between I actually have the press book kind of down here and then the nice albums right here, so that when they see the press print, I mean, it's still really nice. It's, anybody could get the press, but when they
Sure.
see that album and it's heavy, You know, when they pick it up, they're like, "Oh, this is heavy," and they feel that, and they feel the pages, and the pages are that beautiful print. You know, the paper is the photographic beautiful print. They're gonna see the difference in that. So that's gonna be where they, okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna get this instead of that.
Sure. And do you tend to use like the luster paper, the metallic, or the silk
Just the luster. I keep
luster?
it
Okay.
simple. I don't
Yep.
want to overcomplicate and give them too many choices, or even, and
Sure.
for me, I don't want to have to think of, because I forget what was it that I ordered. So yeah, I keep it simple and just stick with the regular paper. Yeah.
Thank you. Nathan, how about you?
Yeah, perceived value.
Okay.
You're looking at a coffee table book versus a senior integrity album.
Album, album. And you can
And
look at them.
that's right. Smells good. You can even do cookie scent on the last page. But it's just you can see the difference. And when people are spending money or investing their money, they want to see that they're getting something completely different. And if you do the coffee table books, and it's not that they're not a good press printed album, it's
Mhm.
almost like they can almost get it out there on some online labs that we won't mention names because they're not that great. But when we bring in these integrity albums and you like kind of like flop it on the table and they put it in their hands and they're like, whoa, like they're blown away by the quality. And so it comes down to like if we're going to sell like your business plan, if you want to be McDonald's, go for it. You're going to have to work a lot. But if you want to be Ruth Chris and sell a steak for $150, you better bring in an album with a leather case, with some nice packaging, with a thank you card, and that they can see the difference that you take care of them.
Mhm.
Good. I just thought of an idea, Nathan. We'll do it now, so everybody here is hearing it first. We'll do a scratch and sniff sticker that we could put. Do you guys remember those?
Oh yeah.
We could put that in the back of the album, and you could scratch it and be like, there's the smell now." So
There's the smell of the graffiti bridge we were by.
yeah,
Oh.
yeah, maybe that would not be a good one, but the baked cookies, that's what made it come to
That's
mind. So
what I meant.
I love it.
I don't know if it's for real, but I have a friend who, she's a photographer, and she told me about this sense that she said, "Hey, you put these in your studio, people will, that smell makes people buy stuff." So I went out and bought them, and I have them in my studio. They smell great, but I don't know if it actually
Good.
works or not. But it is just like Nathan said, that the senses. They have a little mini fridge. They can get something to drink out of the mini fridge. So they're drinking that, they're smelling that smell. I make it nice and comfortable in there for them. So it does work, but
Yeah.
I don't let mine taste the albums though.
I've seen, companies will do, the fresh chocolate chip cookies.
Mhm.
Yeah, they're good scent. That's not in the book this time, sadly, but then you can set them on the table and build that rapport and help loosen them up and relax.
Yeah.
I have heard that, you can set the tone for selling based off of smells. We associate, I think it's cinnamon at Christmas time, so if you want to kind of set the mood for purchasing, cinnamon often is a great smell. Vanilla, I think, was another one that I don't know, somebody years ago was talking about that at some webinar. But
Pumpkin,
go ahead.
pumpkin spice.
Pumpkin spice. Oof, that's maybe that's a trigger word for some. So another question came in through the chat. Studio warranty, is that effective as a sales, like, does that add value to the product?
I've never, knock on wood, now that I'm saying we're gonna jinx it, but I've never had to deal with it.
Sure.
I did have this again when I was shoot and burn. I'm not even gonna name the company, but it was very, very, very cheap, cheap albums. I mean, not albums, canvases. And they were hanging, I think, I don't know if it was in my studio or somewhere where it was a little bit of moisture, and they unfolded and they fell apart. So I had to buy some new ones. But I've never, but I stopped selling those long, long, long time ago. Knock on wood, I've never had an issue, so I've never had to deal with it. So yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even have experience in that. I don't know if that would add value. I guess it might, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm still, I gotta think about that one some more.
I do a 1 year guarantee within all my products, but I also love the concept with McKenna as well, as they've got I believe it's a lifetime guarantee. So like say I sent a metal out to home and the moisture, whatever, the backing fell off, I can contact McKenna and they'll take care of it. That's what I think is always amazing. Like if your lab doesn't back you up as a company, it doesn't make you as effective. And so that's what I love about McKenna. Integrity, integrity is the core. what we're offering to our clients as well. Because if we want to sell them an album or a wall art for $4, $5, $6, $7, $800, $1,000, and $3,000, you know, all that combined, and we have no guarantee, that's kind of the scary thing. Because like, how do you have perceived value on something and then you go home and a month later, odds happen, oddities happen, and something happens? How do you take care of that? Well, build it into your business plan, and then make sure that your lab, McKenna Pro Lab, you know, things like that, that company, they will take care of you.
It's an interesting question because you know, when we're at trade shows, we're marketing to professional photographers. We don't work with the general public. So that is, you know, something that we'll mention. Our line of albums, we guarantee to lay flat for life. But I've never thought about using that as a sales tactic. Not tactic's the wrong word, but a perceived value when working directly with the end consumer, your customers. So that's an interesting question.
Yeah, because like here's, I mean, the side note, I give a 1 year guarantee, and then I always just tell them, like, say you take your album home and your dog chewed it up, I will replace it one time for free within a year.
Hmm.
That's not McKenna's fault, that's the dog's fault, but it's even their fault for leaving out. But I want them to know how it is. So don't just lay it out and take care of it, but it happens.
So here's the lightning round. We'll see which one of you knows. So who's going to buzz in first? How long has McKenna been in business? Someone asked. Go.
43, 43
15 years.
What did Pam say?
I just guessed 15. I have no idea. I'm sorry.
All right. So we've been around since 1969.
That's
What?
what I said. 65 years.
Wow.
Yeah, good. Other questions from those that are attending? Love all the questions coming in. You know, that's the purpose of this. Pick their brains, ask them, you know, how they're doing business. You know, what's the biggest thing that they regret doing in business that they've learned from, or whatever you guys have for questions. So, of course, neither of you have regrets, but you know,
Uh, you'd like to call them regrets, but I'm gonna call it part of the journey. Like
part of the
I
journey. Okay.
hate to say that I was a shoot and burn, made $50 on a family session. I don't regret it. I learned from it, and it's part of those steps that build you up to where you are today. Because I could have had this all handed to me, but then even when something's handed to you, you still have to learn the steps. And
Sure.
that's what you see a lot in business from a lot of family members. They'll inherit a business and have no clue because they never worked from the ground up. So learning from the ground up is actually very beneficial. And the better problem solver you are and willing to put in the work, the better business person you'll be at the end of the day.
Good.
Did you say regret? What are our regrets? Is that what your question was?
Oh, sort of. I was just kind of talking. So,
Oh, well, so I'm kind of again with Nathan. I wish I had done IPS sooner
okay.
or sold products sooner, and got, but like you have to learn. That's how you, I mean, I had to go. Of course, it's like a curve from where I started to where I'm now. So I had to go through that to get. I mean, I wish I was there at the beginning. Now my daughter, who she's doing my wedding, she knows she's starting where I was kind of, I had to go up the curve. She's starting right in the middle. Lucky
That's
her. I
awesome.
wish I had that benefit to do that. But yeah, I had to learn from the beginning. But yeah, of course, I wish I had made the jump to IPS sooner. I wish I had sold products sooner and done these things sooner. So I could probably retire earlier if I had done. But I'm
Well,
happy where I am. I'm really,
Good.
I'm at the point now where I'm working enough to where I'm not exhausting myself and and but I'm making the money that I need to support my family. So I'm enjoying that part of it. I feel like even everybody, are you going to retire? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a busybody. I like doing something. I think if I retired, I would probably lose my mind. So I like actually putting out something and making people happy and enjoy, I enjoy that. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think if I could have made more money, understanding business more at the more early stages of my career. I wish I'd have known more about that. It's not really regret. It's more like I wish I'd have
sure.
known.
So as you guys are talking, this came to mind, and this may be hard to answer because you may have to think back a while, but what is the one piece of advice you got from either a mentor or another photographer that made the biggest impact in your business?
I know this one because I was
Oh,
actually
awesome.
thinking
That was
about it
quick.
before we yeah, no, before we started this, I was like, I wonder what kind of questions he's gonna ask. And I thought about this one. So I was at a convention many years ago. I can't remember. I don't remember which one. It was some photography conference. And I was in the room. And of course, I always tell people education, even when you think you're the best photographer, Nathan's still going to educational things. I'm still going to educational things. We've been doing this a long time. If you're the smartest one in the room, go to it. You're in the wrong room. So I went to this convention and I wasn't doing IPS yet. I know I needed to, but I was too afraid to do it. I was in this IPS class and I was terrified. So I was asking all these questions. I'm that kid in class that always raises their hand when it's time to leave and everybody's like, oh, you should stop asking questions so we can go. That's me. So I was raising my hand and asking all the questions and not really getting the answers that I needed because I was really scared. I was terrified. Like, I'm terrified I'm going to lose all my clients. I'm not going to make enough money, all the things that go into wanting to go to IPS. And then after the class was over, this lady, I wish I remember her name. I remember she was blonde and very pretty and young. And she was from Canada. And this, I think we were somewhere in, I don't remember what conference it was. Anyway, and so, but it was in the US and she was in Canada. She was from Canada and she came up to me. She said, hey, let me talk to you. It was just out of the blue. Like, I didn't ask her. This was just from me asking the questions. And she came up, let me talk to you. And we talked for like 10 minutes. She's like, you can do it. She said, I was afraid to, and I did it. It's not, it is scary, but you're not going to progress if you don't do the scary things. And she gave me some advice in that 5 or 10 minutes after that one in between classes at this conference. And that's what did it. And because of her, I started doing IPS. And so it was just this one person just at random. And it was just fantastic.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Nathan, did you have enough time to think for you?
Ask the question again, because I'm trying to process how I want the answer.
Okay, I got to remember how I asked it so I could ask it
Was
the
there
same
one
way
person
again.
who made a difference? Was there one, you said was there one person or
Yes.
something that made the difference
Yes.
for you?
Is there
Yes.
one person, photographer or mentor that gave you one piece of advice that just made the biggest difference in your business?
I'm going to start off with a quote and then I'll answer it.
Okay.
Basically says champions make adjustments, not excuses.
Mm.
Mm,
This business, we make a lot of excuses. Well, I don't have any experience. I don't have any of this. I don't know how to do sales. I don't know how to price. I did this for a year. Well, I'm ADD. I don't have structure. The issue is you got to develop that. No one's born with information on how to run a business. And
sure.
so when I was at that plateau, I hit a plateau and I remember just posting somewhere in a Facebook group and Ty Fisher said, call me, here's my number. And I was like, what in the world does this guy who's amazing wants to talk to me? And so I sat down with him on a phone call. I can't remember 30, 40 minutes. And he sat there and said, Loker, this is what you need to do. And this is how you need to implement these things. And it changed my business. I went from a $400 senior session to $1,800 within that same year. And I was able to function and I was able to breathe because I was at a stress level in my business at the beginning, having a daughter who was just born and I have no business experience, not making any money, trying to make a go at this. And I was just wanting to feed her. And he's like, here's what you need to do. And I just still remember that phone call was just mind blowing to me. Like, he went out of his way just to call me and talk to me. And that has projected me to where I am now, just putting in that hard work and reminding myself I'm a problem solver. And when it comes to this business, if we're not problem solving, then we're not implementing, we're not trying anything new, we're not going to grow in our business. I mean, if you want to maintain, that's fine, but you're not going to go anywhere and you're going to plateau.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you guys. Both of those answers are because somebody was kind enough to take a moment out of their time and reach out and impact your photography. And now look at what's happening today. You guys are now doing the same thing for others. It's on this webinar, but you both speak. Thank you for speaking at multiple different conferences. You both do workshops, and that's just awesome. So
Thank you.
cool. Well, I didn't see any other questions come in, so we'll kind of wrap up here. But I do want to thank both of you again for this last hour, for just letting us pick your brains, talk to you about business, talk to you about products, and just loved all the answers and insight that you guys had. Nathan, I'm still waiting for a seagull or something to fly over and land on your head, but it hasn't over the last hour, so we must be good. So
Oh, it's getting hot out here.
yeah, I bet it looks like it. Yeah,
Thanks so much for having us. I think it's been an honor to be able to be a part of this group, but then also I love helping people because I know what it was like to not know what I was doing and needing advice and wanting somebody to hold my hand through it. And so
Sure.
I'm just excited to share that.
Yeah. You're very welcome. We're glad to have both of you a part of our speaker team, and it's very apparent that both of you desire to invest in others. You know, just your answers today, you know, your interaction on the different Facebook groups and whatnot. So thank you again.
I'll just say this at the end, you know, for me, people look at me and sees me as a goofy person, and they don't always see me as someone who's been there through the journey. But you know, as goofy as I am, I will go out of my way to help as many people if they're willing to ask, and hopefully not be intimidated by my craziness.
That's what
And
drew
I've
me to you. That's what you
Oh, is it? Oh, woohoo!
goofiness.
All
Yeah, I
right.
guess I've seen that firsthand, Nathan, you know, at Sync and some of the others. You know, you've always got a group of people coming up and talking to you. So it's good when we are who we are. And you know, our all of our personalities are different, and we can use that to attract people. So awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you guys, and hope you have a rest of awesome day here. And we'll log off here. So very slow thumbs up from
Sir.
Nathan and Pam. So just last quick thing, make sure if you haven't already registered, next week, September 17th, we'll have Kristen Jones at 11 a.m. And that'll kind of wrap up the end of this series. So grateful for all of our speakers that have been willing to jump on these Zooms. And yeah, make sure if you haven't yet, get signed up for the last session on the 17th.
Ooh, do it or else.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Bye.
All right. Have a good one.
I just wanted to.
You're going to sit there till I log off, aren't you?
I know. I was like, should I just go? I don't want to be the first to leave.
All right. I'll log us off. Thanks.